Hi, my name is Salvador and this is Antifragile Software. Hope you enjoy it. You might find interesting that in 13th and 14th century Barcelona, it was tradition to behead bunkers if they went bankrupt. And that made me think about my work and the code I write every day. Would it be any different if a similar rule applied to me? And theoretically, there shouldn't. But realistically, we're okay with the fact that some bugs get pushed to production. And as software is eating the world, we as an industry should we be concerned? Because software bugs kill people when they get pushed to the automated system of a plane. Software bugs kill people when they get pushed into the autopilot mode of a self-driving car. And software bugs might kill people if the airbag seat sensor malfunctions. Software bugs might also release US prisoners early. So as an industry, we should pay more attention to the bugs that we push to production. And the thing is, we live in a world where bugs get pushed to production all the time. And that isn't something new. And I leave Elon Musk to explain it himself.
People are mistaken when they think that technology just automatically improves. It does not automatically improve. It only improves if a lot of people work very hard to make it better. And actually, it will, I think, by itself degrade.
Elon Musk is talking about something that we might be knowledgeable about, which is that technology is created by people who are experts on the field. All grey-beard guys that really know what they're doing. But the technology they invented get passed along to people who are far less knowledgeable, and they are not in a position to maintain it with the care that the inventors cared itself. The knowledge that they used to have isn't completely transferred, and some of it is lost, which means that the world turns into something that is full of cook helpers but with no cooks. That's the cook helpers dystopia. And in fact, this isn't something new. Think of the machine that Alan Turing used to crack the Enigma code. It was full of relays and transistors and everything was out in the open, and you had to be really knowledgeable to work with it efficiently. But now, there's some intricacies in tools such as Python that not all people are aware of them, and that makes for it to have weird behaviors that not all junior developers can explain. That is, from the past to the future, something happened along the way, and knowledge has been lost on it. And I don't get the productivity argument, which is something that I get thrown most of the time when I talk about this thing. Think about in terms of the number of employees that Facebook has. As the number of employees grows, the input to the world hasn't changed much, which leads me to believe that the productivity of each of those employees is going to zero. So the productivity argument isn't something that I don't really buy. And in fact, I'm not alone in this. Many people have talked about this before. First, the guys from the Agile methodology stress the fact that complete documentation isn't enough and it shouldn't be a priority, but the adaptation to changes, which is exactly what the Agile word means. And people like Casey Muratori and Jonathan Blow have been talking about preventing the collapse of our civilization that relies too much on too complex code. And the thing is, none of these have addressed the real issue, which is that there are no recipes to deal with the cook's helper dystopia. The cook's helper dystopia is inevitable. To explain why, I need to go back to 1900s, to the early 1900s, when Bertrand Russell, a philosopher, was thinking about how knowledge gets transferred from people to people. He thought that people were too careless and too loose with definitions. And he said that rigor and logic would solve this issue. And that's the reasoning behind codes of conduct and best practices that the industry has. But there was a student of him called Ludwig Wittgenstein who went in the complete opposite direction. Rather than talking about rigor and logic, he said that each one of us speak our own language, internal, and based on our unique set of experiences, which means that if you try to make this language more formal, you're going to realize that it's terribly inconsistent. The thing is, both Russell and Wittgenstein agreed that we use language in a loose way, and it works well, but up to a certain scale. And that's something that we software developers have to deal with constantly, because up to that point, we start talking about something called spaghetti code. How do we deal with these cooks help at Dystopia? How do we deal with the fact that we don't know everything that the old beer guys used to know? And the thing is, we need to be prepared to deal with the fact that we are not in a position to know everything. That eventually, over time, secrets are going to reveal to us, rather than being passed along by previous generation, which isn't the idea behind Antifragile, a book by Nassim Taleb. In the book, the idea applied to our industry is that the code that's antifragile is one that improves with every bug, with every incident, and with every hack. Code, despite what Elon Musk said, doesn't degrade nor improve by itself. They're just words compiled into bytes, which means that anti-fragile software isn't anti-fragile by itself, but because it's built by programmers who know how to do it. And I want to leave this conversation with a set of rules for you to write software that's more anti-fragile. First, talk to the users. By having skin in the game, as Nassim Taleb would say, by exposing yourself to the user's problem, you are prone to make less mistakes and make improvements where are most needed. Break code more frequently. As Nietzsche would say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Proponents of chaos monkeys methodologies or penetration testing, or just a developer by himself in a control environment saying something like, what if I do something stupid, makes us become aware of the unknown in a controlled fashion, instead of on a Sunday morning at 3 a.m. And third, write less but think more. We all start with a minimum viable project, which is the way we deal with software pretty much all the time across the entire planet. But as the project grows, viable keeps growing in meaning. It starts to mean more things. So the idea in this case will be not to restrict ourselves with a minimum viable project, but as viable means more things, project must always be kept to a minimum. I hope you had a great food for thought in this talk, and I'm going to be in the comments ready to answer your questions, and in fact I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of the conference.